Hey, how's it going, everyone? My name is Brown. I'm an amateur paleontologist and T-Rex VTuber, and welcome to the third episode of Zoids Analysis, where I break down and compare Zoids to their real-world counterparts. And you guys voted for this one, and since we did Spinosaurs in the second episode and Tyrannosaurs in the first episode, and today we are going over... That's right, today we are going over the many variants of Raptor-Zoids. Now, to clarify exactly what I'll be going over today, I will be going only over the Dromaeosaurid dinosaurs, which includes things like Dromaeosaur, so things like Velociraptor, Microraptor, and also things like Unalogene, which includes Unalogia, but we're not going to be going over the Megaraptors, which was featured in Zoids Genesis. So, sorry Biomegaraptor, you're going to kind of have to sit out on this one because, yes, even though it looks like a raptor, it is actually not. They are known as Megaraptors, which are a species of dinosaur that are not even closely related to raptors, but they're actually more closely related to things like tyrannosaurs. And what better way to start off this video than with the most known dromaeosaur in the family, and that being Velociraptor. Velociraptor, also known as Velociraptor mongoliensis, is actually one of two species of Velociraptor. There is Velociraptor mongoliensis, found in, Mongolia, and then there is Velociraptor osmolske, which was found in 2008 by a skull fragment. Now, I'm about to break everyone's heart about Velociraptor because they are nothing like what we see in Jurassic Park. So despite what we see in Jurassic Park with Velociraptor being the size of an adult man, if not a little bit larger, and fully capable of taking on an adult human, and successfully doing so throughout the movies, the real-world Velociraptor is actually a lot smaller. In fact, it is actually no bigger than that of a coyote or a turkey. And also, despite it, looking like what it does in Jurassic Park, it actually doesn't have scales. And in fact, it actually has a coat of feathers, as far as we know of, judging by other members of its family, things like, say, Microraptor, for example, which is one of the raptors that will be featured in this video. Now, Velociraptor also gave us this wonderful fossil that is here in the background, and that is called the Fighting Dinosaurs, where we see Velociraptor locked in combat with a Protoceratops, which happens to be a very early ancestor to things such as Styracosaurus and also Triceratops. Now, in terms of Zoids, Velociraptor takes up the vast majority of species representation because, Velociraptor is the most popular raptor species pretty much in all of dinosaurs. Now, Raptor-Zoids have been featured in just about every single solitary anime of Zoids, ranging from Chaotic Century with the Gun Sniper and Revraptor, which were the two main raptor species that were featured in Zoids. Then moving on, we have Lena's Gun Sniper, which happens to be the most famous variant of the Gun Sniper, alongside with Naomi Flugel's Red Gun Sniper, which, by the way, side tangent, Naomi Flugel is a big giant walking Char Aznable reference with its pink/salmon and red color scheme, and in fact, actually, she's also known as the Red Comet, which is also a direct, if not, it is exactly Char Aznable's nickname, which happens to be the Red Comet. And then moving on to Zoids Genesis, we only have things like the Bioraptor, which was pretty much the grunt/foot soldier of the Degald Empire. And then moving on to Zoids Wild, we have, Raptor from the Zoids Wild franchise, which includes things like Zoids Wild, Senki, and Zero. But there's still more. There are other Velociraptor-type Zoids that were not in the anime. That's right, we have model kit exclusive Zoids, so things like the Snipe Master, and also the Blitzhaken. Now, moving on to the other Dromaeosaurs, moving on to our second Dromaeosaur in this video, which happens to be the Deinonychus. The Deinonychus is the Velociraptor's much larger cousin, and it was from the early to late Cretaceous period, from the Aptian to the Cenomanian, of what is now known as North America, and its range was from Montana, Utah, Wyoming, and Oklahoma, and even was found in places like Maryland, of all places. And like its smaller cousin, which is the Velociraptor, Deinonychus very well could have had a plumage of fluffy feathers, making it more or less like a murder lizard and more of like a giant murder groundhog. Now, when I say big, this is actually one of the few dromaeosaurs that were actually pretty big for their species, and were also the actual inspiration for the raptors in Jurassic Park, because when writing the book, Michael Crichton has stated that the raptors are supposed to be Deinonychus. However, he chose Velociraptor solely because of the name, because the name actually sounds a lot easier to pronounce and sounds better in marketing than, say, Deinonychus. Now, in Zoids, there is only one real representation of Deinonychus, and that being the Gillraptor from the Zoids Wild series. Now, you could also kind of argue, because of how the head shape looks on the Revraptor, it looks to be more based off of the JP style Velociraptor, and thus basically Deinonychus rather than an actual Velociraptor. But we'll sit there and say it's a Velociraptor just for the sake of the argument. Now, moving on to our third and technically final dromaeosaur in this video is the Microraptor, also known as Microraptor Gui, which was found in, and I do apologize, I don't speak Chinese, so I do apologize. This was found in the early Cretaceous period in the Liaoning, China. More specifically, the Jiufotang Formation in China, in the Aptian stage of the late Cretaceous period. Now, what's very interesting about Microraptor, and we can see it in this holotype specimen here, is that there is actual coloring in its feathers. That's right, this thing was preserved with its colors intact, which is remarkably rare in fossils, especially when it comes to things like dinosaurs. Now, we can see here with Microraptor is that it had black iridescent feathers, which made it the same color as, say, a crow or a raven, which gives Microraptor the fame of being one of the very few dinosaurs we actually can tell what its color was, even down to the last little detail. In terms of Zoids, there are only really 1.5 representations of Microraptor. So things like the Evo Flyer from Zoids Fusors kinda got it right with its flight mode. It has the okay-ish silhouette of a Microraptor, but it's lacking a lot of its key features. So things such as its 4 wings, which it kinda sorta maybe looks like it. Not really. It more looks like a dinosaur-shaped fighter jet. And don't get me started on its ground form, which it looks more or less like a stereotypical theropod-ish dinosaur, not really so much as a dromaeosaur or any kind of raptor. It's missing its sickle claw, which Microraptor itself has. This just comes off more of like a "you tried" category, which is one of the few dinosaur species in Zoids that really misses its mark by a mile. It's kind of bad. The Zoid that did get this right was in Zoids Genesis, that being the Bioraptor Gui, which is essentially just a retool and a recolor of the Bioraptor. However, it is done up as a Microraptor. And what's interesting about this is that the color scheme, well, yes, it's blue, but it's closer to what Microraptor had. I mean, like, it's a dark navy blue, but yeah, it's close enough. I mean, I'll take it. It has the right skull shape. It has the 4 wings, which are the two wings in the front, and also the winglets on its legs. And it took the whole prehistoric biplane to its literal extreme, because in the anime, this thing is a biplane. It is a biplane, and it not only is it a biplane, but it's a biplane bomber, and I believe, if I remember correctly, it made like biplane zooming noises as it would fly by. It's kind of funny. Now, the last raptor on our list isn't necessarily a raptor because it's not a dromaeosaur, but it's more of like a cousin of the dromaeosaur. So I'll include it in because, well, it's also in Zoids, so why not? The last raptor, quote-unquote raptor species, is Unalagia. Now, Unalagia is a member of, well, the Unalagia family. And there, like Velociraptor, there are only 2 species of Unalagia. There is Unalagia paynemelli, and then there is, and I'm going to butcher this one, I do apologize, there is Unalagia comahoensis from the late Cretaceous period of South America. I kind of put Unalagia in quotation marks as a raptor because it's not a dromaeosaur, but it is a raptor dinosaur. Now, Unalagia and its family Unalaginae, or Unalagidae, is kind of a mystery in terms of dinosaurs, because traditionally they are considered to be dromaeosaurs, although some people do want to sit there and say that they are their own family, which is Unalagidae, along with and sometimes also considered to be alongside the subfamily, which is Huscaraptidae, which are these little guys. These are the Huscaraptors. They are the only known raptor species of dinosaur to be able to swim. They are often commonly known as the murder ducks. So when it comes to Unalagia, it's a very fragmentary dinosaur. We only know of it from very, very sparse bones, and even with its other family members, so things like Osteraptor, for example, are also, we only really know of it from partial fragmentary remains. So it's still up in the air whether or not the Unalagidae family is considered to be dromaeosaurs or their own separate species. Now, in terms of Zoids, there is only one real representation of Unalagia, which is kind of funny because Unalagia in and of itself is kind of an obscure dinosaur species, and the Zoid in question is, well, Unalagia. It is a Zoid that is literally named after the dinosaur that it's based off of, from Zoids fusors. And it's a fusor that can combine with other block Zoids to create, and it's actually the component of what is known as the Matrix Dragon. So there we have it. That is all of the Raptor Zoids and Dromaeosaur Zoids. Like I mentioned earlier in the beginning of the video, I didn't want to include Biomegaraptor because it's not labeled as a raptor. It is a Megaraptor type, which means it's more closely related to Tyrannosaurs rather than actual Dromaeosaurs. But that's besides the point. But that covers pretty much all of the Dromaeosaurs and Raptor-type Zoids in Zoids. I might have missed out a couple of things as well. Maybe there was a few Raptor-type Zoids that I missed out. But that's pretty much all the ones that I believe I found. If I missed any, please let me know down in the comments. But next video, we are going to be going over the sauropods in Zoids, and that includes things like, you know, Ultrasaurus, Seismosaurus, Hydocker, Grouchios, all that stuff. So, if you want to see other types of dinosaurs be covered and compared to their Zoids counterparts, please let me know down in the comments. If not, I will also post a poll for you guys to decide on the next episode after the sauropods. So, this has been Geurdo Brown, your amateur paleontologist and T-Rex VTuber. I stream Monday, Wednesdays, Fridays, and Saturdays over on Twitch, where I cover a myriad of things. So things like just chatting. I also do gaming, and I also do model kit building streams where I build things like Zoid models, Gundam models, all that stuff. So if you like what you see here, please give me a follow over on my Twitch and on all of my socials. I also have a Blue Sky and a Twitter as well. But yeah, so this has been Geurdo Brown, and I will catch you all in the next video.